You give the youths them pollution, lead them to temptation. Yes, I know, brighter days. Yes, I know, better days. Yes, I know, brighter days. Yes, I know.
I see them seeking with all their might to acquire the keys of life. Slave market trade, every life has a price. Manipulate, control through vain device. Human and animal genes they splice. Bio-apocalypse, them a drive a device. Pharmacist has the cure but for a price. The side effects bring your demise. Computer robotic, check out them scientists psychotic. Like say they went to the moon pan rocket. Uniform tie and jacket. Prison cell a bill pan rapid. No, still got to.
Alright, Resonance News, where independent thinking is as simple as breathing. Now today I wanted to, first, before we get into that, like and share and subscribe to the video. It's our first video in 2 years. And I traveled 3 miles into the forest, into the complete wilderness, while the entire world is going crazy over the election. I've seen about 2 people here. So we're getting away from the chaos, we're getting away from all the distractions. That is the main goal into this channel, is get away and expose all the distractions. Now, I wanted to make this video for several reasons. Reason number 1, yesterday was the coronation for former great Emperor Haile Selassie coronation of 1930, November 2nd, and it's interesting that it fell this year a day before the election day, and it makes you wonder how far we've gone astray from what we demand as citizens, what we expect from quote-unquote leaders. And it's interesting how we're kind of designed throughout school to really look at monarchies and king states and things like that as primitive and old culture. And it's like, when you really look at what the options that we've been having really since this country has been established, like since the first president, but really, let's say that since this election and the last election. And it's like, it's not really a comparison. And when I say it's not really a comparison, I'm saying that the kings and queens and leaders of yesterday, well, let's just say Emperor Haile Selassie, he had, there's just certain morals and principles that kings and queens of ancient history abided by. And today it's like our standards have become so, it's like we don't really have any standards when you compare to back in those times. And I think people need to go back and research and really do their homework on what the people expected from kings back then and how kings actually served the people. And you know, every king, it's not like everything isn't a movie where the king just controls the people and does what he wants. And I mean, yeah, there are a lot of instances of that, but everything isn't really made for Hollywood and entertainment. Sometimes the most important things we can learn from really are quote unquote boring, but boring is where really all the lessons and things are that we learn. So, and this brings me to my second and main point of the video, is why I'm not voting. And if you want to know if I'm here or not, I'm actually here. See, I'm here. I'm just recording. So I'll go over here. We'll set it over here, just in case you think I'm using some stock footage or something. So, okay, we're back. So the main point of the video is, as obviously you can see, I'm not voting today. And I don't think guilt shaming or anything isn't really gonna work. This isn't a bait video. It's not a video to trigger you. It's not like, we don't do those things over here. So I want to get into not being of this world, and that's why I chose the setting for this video. I'm not at a polling booth. I'm not reporting. I don't know what, hundreds of people could have died. Nobody could have died. I don't even have a clue what's going on today as far as what's happening at the polls. I don't know anything what's going on. I've been out here for the last 3 hours. And that's why, because we're not supposed to be of this world. We're supposed to be here. And Jehovah's Witness, we're not supposed to be of this world, but we're here in this world. And we stress that a lot in this channel and on the website. Mainly I've been writing articles. If you haven't seen videos for the last few years, I'll put a link for the website in the description box. But there's things such as the internal riot. I did several articles. Basically, there's always going to be injustice. There's never going to be this utopian society where everything is perfect, and like nothing's ever going to be perfect because human beings aren't perfect. So that kind of is like really most of the battle there. So when you realize nothing is going to be perfect, you realize like good and evil is not really black and white. You realize good people can do bad things and evil people can do good things. So at this point, it's like, well, if you're not being triggered, if you're not being persuaded and influenced by political parties to look at this as bad or look at that as bad about another candidate, it kind of puts you in a middle position where you're like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, and it really doesn't matter. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen. You could vote in the best candidate ever and things can be terrible. Things can be like, you never really know. And, you know, that's another reason why I think like Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't vote. A lot of different spiritual beliefs, spiritual systems, they don't partake in politics. And like I was saying, they choose not to be of this world. And you have to step back, and you have to realize that data is being collected. We're being persuaded. Read my book review, The Cult of Trump, at my website. And if you want to purchase the book, if you would go through my website and purchase the book, that'd be even great. But the book thoroughly explains how neuralistic programming, Trump's persuasiveness, like hypnotic states, all these things are being, and this guy, that Steven Hassan, that wrote the book, he was in a cult, and he's a cult expert. And really, I'm going to write an article about it, but really the future of America is cults, because people have followings. And for people to increase their followings, they're going to need data. They're going to need to persuade you. They're going to need to trigger your emotions. And basically, that means more and more people are going to be in and of this world, because they're going to need people to follow them. If people aren't in and of this world, then people aren't going to get followers. It's just that simple. So the more they have your emotions, the more they can trigger you, the more they can get into you internally, the more you will be of this world, the more you will ride this roller coaster of emotions and be basically manipulated like a puppet. And you know, when this is what I'm trying to do with this channel, is expose, because okay, let's say, well, like Maxine Waters says, oh, well, black men who don't vote should be remembered in history and blah, blah, blah. Well, I voted. My first election was the 2003 George Bush. I worked for the Obama campaign in 2008 in Ohio, a swing state, the most important state at the time. I specifically worked for his campaign. I met him when I worked for his campaign. And then this channel, I have covered extensively local elections in Cleveland and East Cleveland, extensively. And there's not too many channels that, that are black independent channels that are covering local elections, because it's not viewership heavy, people don't care, but just to show people how quote unquote important local elections are, which they are way more important than presidential elections in my opinion. But I'm not just a guy who turned on the camera and, didn't decide to do a lot of field work throughout the years. So I just want to throw that out there. Now, so that's basically the whole point of the video, is that we're not to be of this world. You're just living in it. You're learning about yourself. You're learning about your spirituality. You're coming to places like this in the wilderness where, when the world is going crazy, when people are fear-based living and don't know if they're coming or going and are afraid for their lives and losing their relationship with God. I mean, that's basically, you can say what this is exposing, is that people who thought they believed in God as much as they thought they did, they probably don't. And it's a good, whatever God it is. Because that's the thing. Any religion, any spiritual system is telling you not to be of this world. You can go to the Vedas, you can go to Krishna, you can go to Buddhist philosophy, you can go to Christianity, you can go to whatever. It's going to tell you, master your senses, master your emotions. That's what Jesus did, walking on water. Master your emotions. Don't be caught up in your emotions. Be in the world and not be of the world. So I just want to leave that reminder. This is why I chose not to vote. I could say also, I don't really think nothing's going to change for black people. I mean, I'm not discrediting those who try to work with different candidates, but this is my reason why I chose not to vote. And I think people that feel the same way should not be ridiculed. People that are trying to make a quote unquote living but choose not to be of this world in as many aspects as they can should not be ridiculed. And the triggering is so heavy and different things like that, people aren't going to understand, because people are triggered, people are internally hacked, people they're just caught up. You know what I mean? The World Wide Web is a web. It's a web. You get caught in the web. That is the whole point of a web, is to entangle you. So that's mainly it. I don't want to take too much of your time. If you want more videos like this, I don't mind doing them. It's just, it's hard for, people are still commenting, and like, I haven't done a video in 2 years. I'm still getting subscribers. I'm still getting comments on old videos from years ago. There's over 700 and something videos of content like that, original content, thought-provoking content. And, but the YouTube viewership, it wants you to create a niche. And a niche is like, it's kind of a substitute for one-dimensional. So if you if you have two conflicting ideas, but you can kind of see both sides of them, then you're not going to show up in the algorithm. So a lot of people, they might say, well, do this and do that in the algorithm, you'll get views. But it's like, if you're really an independent thinker, it's kind of difficult to show up in the algorithm. And there's a lot of people that are saying they're free thinkers and this and that. But if you're really like an independent thinker, you're gonna have conflicting views of the masses. Like, for example, if, as we stated in this channel, if you believe that there's police injustice, but you want to talk about inner city violence among black people, or black on black crime, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people don't like that word, but the self-hate that we're taught that we inflict on each other, you can't really talk about both. And I don't think a lot of people are realizing that. And you really realize it when you see like I have a video on the police parade, but I also have videos talking about, I have many videos of protests, Tamir Rice, different things like that. But then I have videos on vigils, on black crime, quote unquote. So it's like there's not really, that's what this channel is created for. Like, there has to be a space, because, you can't really, and that's what journalism is. Journalism can't really be a niche. It can't really be like one-dimensional. You know what I mean? Or it's not going to show up. But that's the way we're heading in, and everything has to be a cult. You have to think one way. If you don't want to, like Joe Biden said, if you vote for Trump, then you're not black if you're a black person. Like, you can't really, everything is getting into tunnel vision, one-dimensional. And cults are the future of America. But independent, we're going to be independent thinkers over here. And I'm not just saying that as a cliche. Like, that's just how I feel. That's what I believe. And anything and everything is open for interpretation, as it should be. And nobody can let nobody sway you. Whatever happens in these elections, everything happens for the greater good, no matter how bad it gets. We made it through slavery and we're still here. We made it through slavery, civil war. If you're a black person and you were born here, your ancestors made it through slavery and the Civil War. So, it's in our DNA. No, this is just my reason why I chose not to vote. It's not to sway anybody. I mean, if you're going to vote, you probably voted already or going to vote right now.
The globalism, the corporate funded prisons, blood money through colonialism, brainwash and hypnotism, homeless and alcoholism, all the guns and ammunition kill living organisms, industry chemical mechanism, one-sided journalism.